The views, opinions, and statements expressed by our guests are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Dr. Jason Littleton or the Concierge Doc Podcast. We do not endorse or take responsibility for any statements, claims, or perspectives shared in this content. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and form their own conclusions.
Access to the information and materials contained in this podcast is at your own risk. The information contained is presented for the purpose of educating the consumer on a variety of wellness and healthcare topics. Nothing contained is intended to be instructional for medical diagnosis or treatment. The information contained is compiled from a variety of sources. The information should not be considered complete and exhaustive and should not be in place of a visit or consultation with your own primary care doctor. Welcome to the Concierge Doc Podcast. I'm your host, CEO and founder of Littleton Concierge Medicine, Dr. Jason Littleton. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we will dive deep into the art of delivering world-class care, exceptional service, and a life well lived. We have with us today a true expert in the world of leadership, workplace culture, and customer experience. Today's guest is a keynote speaker, consultant, and organizational culture strategist who has helped leaders across industries, from hospitality to healthcare, build thriving teams and unforgettable client experiences. She spent years working alongside legendary restaurateur Danny Meyer, creating the cultural foundation of some of the most admired service brands in the world, including Union Square Hospitality Group and Shake Shack. Today, she's here to share her insights on how to create a culture that not only inspires your team, but also transforms the way your patients and clients feel every time they interact with you. Whether you lead a medical practice, run a business, or simply want to elevate your personal leadership, this conversation is full of strategies you can start using immediately. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Susan Reilly Salgado.
Thank you, Dr. Jason. It's so great to be here with you today. I'm so excited because learning about your practice has been really enlightening. I'm so impressed with what you do.
Thank you. I'm so impressed with what you do and the hospitality world. I mean, that is your expertise, and we're so excited to talk to you today. I have some awesome questions that I know my audience is going to want to learn from you today. So let's just jump into it. Susan, you're known for transforming workplace culture and customer experience across industries. Can you share the moment or influence that set you on this path?
Sure. So after I graduated from college, I stayed at the university. I went to Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, and I stayed there and worked there for a couple of years. And as an employee, you can take classes for free, but you pay tax on them. It's a benefit. But I thought, well, I should do a master's degree because I can get this benefit. And so I had no interest in pursuing environmental sciences, which was what I had majored in. And I decided an MBA would be a very practical degree. So I started out on a course of an MBA program, and during my coursework, all I felt I was studying were things about technology and inventory and production. It was all very technical and mechanical, nothing about the people, until finally my last semester I took a class on organizational behavior. And it was like a light bulb went off for me, because I had always been interested in concepts around how groups of people work together, how diversity impacts groups, how you create strong workplaces where people love to be, or in a university setting, love to learn. And so this course brought all of that together for me. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is what I really want to be involved in. And so I kind of had an Elle Woods moment, like, I'm going to go get a PhD. And I just applied out. I really had no right to. I was not prepared for it at all. But I was admitted to NYU, and I went to the Stern School of Business, a doctoral program there. And in a business school, you're learning organizational psychology and economics and strategy in the context of business, drawing from psychology, sociology, and basic economics. And so it's really taking the pure disciplines and putting them into a business setting. And there I was really able to dive into this concept of organizational culture. So that's what set me off.
That's awesome. Yeah. That was Elle Wood from Legally Blonde that you
Exactly.
referenced. I like that.
I think I'll get it.
Yeah.
Go to law school.
Yep. And so what was it like? What was like working with Danny Meyer, and shaping the culture of Union Square Hospitality Group? And
it was absolutely amazing. Such a foundational and transformative experience for me. Danny is a true natural leader. If you've ever seen him talk or like watched him on TV, he is exactly as he comes across. He's so authentic and caring. And his leadership is the style of leadership that just makes people want to follow him. And I had noticed his culture as a customer because I was a fan of his restaurants. When my husband and I were dating, we used to go to Union Square Cafe a lot and sit at the bar, and I would talk to the servers and the bartenders as they came up to the bar to get their drinks. And I was always fascinated by the way the people who worked there were so passionate about food and wine, and they had been there for a long time. These were like 5 to 7 year employees, and that's how old the restaurant was. So it was like they were long-term employees, not the transient workers you expect to turn over frequently. And the customer experience was so authentic and so caring and so consistent that I thought, wow, this guy is doing exactly what I'm interested in here. My ethos is happy employees lead to happy customers.
That's good.
And I could see that happening in Danny's restaurants. And so I had a chance meeting with him in 1998 when he was opening Tabla, one of his first 4 restaurants. And I went up to him, talked to him, told him about my interest in the culture. Culture in 1998 was not a concept that people talked about, so I'm not sure he knew exactly what he was getting into. But through a series of conversations, I was able to persuade him to let me study his restaurants for my dissertation. And by the time I was done with my research, I'd fallen in love with the company. And I ended up staying there for the next 15 years, first as their director of culture and learning, helping to build the blueprint for the culture so that we could open more businesses and keep the soul of the business alive. But then after that, we opened a consulting business together called Hospitality Quotient, where I shared those best practices across industries. So we actually started out in healthcare in 2010 and then moved on to everything from concrete companies and auto sales and repairs and trucks through to luxury retail and some very well-known luxury brands, as well as the hospitality industry itself, airlines, hotels, restaurants. So really across every industry.
That's major. And I love what you said. Happy employees lead to happy customers. It sounds like culture gives employees purpose. Is that right?
Well, it is if you build purpose in.
Yeah.
But the purpose has to come from the leaders of the business itself, because culture is a concept I think is a little misconstrued these days. It's an academic concept that has taken on a life of its own in popular press. And people associate good culture with the amenities like, nap rooms and beer kegs and ping pong tables, and they think that that's what it takes to create a great culture. When great culture is really about having a shared set of values and beliefs, that we all are striving for the same thing, we're excited about the same things, we're committed to the same things. And so anytime you get a group of people working or living together, a culture will form. And the way it forms is how they treat one another.
Wow.
So if we treat each other really kindly and respectfully, that's the kind of culture that we're going to have. If it's okay to snap at each other or to be negative or to roll your eyes, then that becomes the culture. Whatever behavior you tolerate is what defines the culture that you have. So even when companies put their values up on the wall and they say like mutual care and respect and integrity, these are our values. If people are not behaving that way in the organization, then they're just words on the wall. They're not really the culture.
Well, that brings up, I love what you said. That brings up another question of mine. So how do you correct wrong culture?
Leadership. It's all through leadership. And so what I have learned across industries is that the number one lever that you can pull in culture is the leadership, and not just at the top, but it has to be at the top. It has to be at all levels of the organization. A missed opportunity in most companies is middle management. They don't look at the people who are really running the day-to-day operations as people who are going to be involved in forming or nurturing the culture of the organization. And yet they are the ones who are working on the front lines with the teams who are doing the work. And they're the ones who have to really uphold the culture by ensuring that everyone behaves in a way that's culturally aligned. So if you take this into the world of medicine, if you have a team with medical assistants, nurses, non-clinical staff, and physicians, and they are not treating each other the way you say you want them to treat one another, that with the respect, with the caring, with the compassion, if they don't treat each other that way, that is the culture that you have. It will be negative. It will be toxic. And the only way it will change is by someone saying, we have to hold each other accountable to this culture. Normally that starts at the top, right? You set the tone from the top down. I have worked with organizations where there is a very toxic senior leadership. The executive level is not going to set that example. But I've worked in divisions where from the division head down, you can get that great culture because you've got the leadership at the top saying, no, this really is what matters to us. This is what we prioritize, what we value. This is how we're going to behave. And then when people are held accountable to that, you shift the culture. It sounds like a lot of work, but honestly, when you are doing it authentically, it happens naturally. This same way, I'm sure, in a practice like yours, where I've talked to Laura, I've on the phone, right? I know how she is, and talking to you, you can tell how people treat one another. And if you've ever had a bad customer experience where you're like, this place is really not going well, you can bet that that's part of the culture, that they are just not a good, strong, cohesive team behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, I just think, in Littleton Concierge Medicine, we just try to be authentic. We don't try to put on airs. And we, I think just being honest with patients, being yourself, being who you are, being comfortable with yourself, I think that, is illustrated in the doctor-patient relationship and the connections that you make.
Absolutely.
And this leads actually to my next question. Obviously in concierge medicine, it's rooted in trust and relationships. How can doctors apply hospitality principles to create a truly exceptional patient experience and journey?
Yeah, well, isn't it funny how hospital is part of the word hospitality?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
Right? Yeah. And in reality, hospitality is so needed in healthcare simply for what it is. It's taking care of strangers. Right? That is what hospitality means.
Wow.
And when I first started doing this work in healthcare, I had a fair amount of pushback in some organizations where physicians would say, we're not a hotel. This is not the Ritz-Carlton. We're not trying to be the Ritz-Carlton.
I've heard that a lot too.
Yeah, do you? Mm-hmm. And I mean, fair, that's okay. And when people feel like they are so well cared for, they are much more likely to listen to you.
Yeah.
They are much more likely to comply with the orders that you give to them that would improve their health. They will trust you. You build that foundation and that relationship with them. And so we don't have to necessarily roll out red carpets here. What we need to do is genuinely welcome people.
Yeah.
Make them feel like they belong.
Yeah.
Make them feel like we care about them. We see them. We hear them.
Yeah.
And listening is such an important skill, and everyone knows it. And we all say, yeah, we got to listen really well. When people say to me, what's the one thing that I can do? I say, listen. And they say, yeah, I've got that. What's next? No, really listen. Because if you're really listening, you're going to know what's next. It's going to be obvious what more you need to do. I worked with a physician once whose patient experience scores were not so great. And he said, tell me one thing that I can do. And so after I had observed him in the hospital setting, and I said, here's the one thing I want you to do. When you are leaving a patient's room, I notice that you often stand up and ask them, do you have any other questions? And you're moving towards the door as you're waiting for the answer. I said, instead, I want you to sit in your seat, ask the question, and I want you to count to 10 slowly before you get up and acknowledge that there are no questions.
Yeah.
That one move changed his patient experience scores drastically because people were not feeling heard by him. He was in such a hurry all the time. And that's a real pain point in medicine, right? The world that, not the world that you live in, thank goodness for you, right?
Yeah.
the world of insurance medicine is boom, boom, boom.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you, because that sounds like an insurance practice, because they're seeing, 24, 30 patients a day, a patient every 15 minutes, a new patient every 30 minutes. They're on a conveyor belt. And, that must have felt like a pain for that doctor, to count to 10 before, he left the room or, went on to the next patient, because, he is constantly feeling like, I don't want to be late for the next patient. I have to be able to compact so much information in a small amount of time. Whereas like in concierge medicine, we're spending at least an hour with the patient. Yeah. We're not stacking patients on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And when you said that comment about, we're not a hotel. Yeah, that was parallel to like hospital medicine or insurance medicine, but that's not a term that we use and here in concierge medicine. It's certainly not in my practice at Littleton Concierge Medicine. So it's definitely different, but that totally resonates. I used to do insurance medicine, and what you said there totally resonates, because I know how that could feel and how that doctor probably felt.
It actually is probably a little bit of both. And that personality part is an interesting little add-on to this. He was the kind of person who was never going to get all warm and fuzzy and be like, oh yeah, I should provide hospitality because I'm in a caring field and I should keep. He was a very practical, no-nonsense doctor, and it was all about the medicine and not about building the relationship. So he was not drinking my Kool-Aid, okay?
Got it.
And what I have found over the years is that people like that, if you give them a strategy that works, they'll do it because it works. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily because they want to be warm and fuzzy.
Right.
They do it because it works.
No, that makes sense.
And so when I told him that and it worked for him, I think it really shocked him that kind of a strategy could bring that result. But yes, it is a pain point in insurance medicine that they're on this conveyor belt. And I'm seeing it everywhere, and the burnout is tremendous, and it's not good for the patients.
Right.
The good news is that even a small strategy like this, where you have a sense of abundance in how you're treating people, that you don't make them feel, even when you feel rushed, if you can if you can take that breath and say, I'm going to give this patient a moment in time, and train yourself to do that, it has tremendous impact. Because then they're really listening to you. They're going to follow your orders. They're going to do take the medicine the way you're saying they should. If they didn't really hear you, they're probably calling back later to ask someone the questions that they didn't ask you. And then they're taking up somebody else's time in the practice.
Yeah.
So it's a time investment to be able to give them that moment in time.
Yeah. I love what you said, a sense of abundance. To me, that means bringing a luxurious experience into the clinic, a seamless, luxurious experience into the clinic. Could you elaborate a little bit more about a sense of abundance?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I learned from Danny Meyer that is true in every industry is that any customer experience is going to have technical and emotional components to it. Danny refers to it as the service, meaning all of the technical things of getting the right food to the right person at the right temperature, all of that. And then the hospitality being the emotional part, how it feels. And so when I work with companies on customer experience, we break down their customer experience into these two components and talk about the systems that go behind the technical piece, and then how do you make it feel at every touch point. Well, when you have your systems running down, really like they're really clicking along, you have more bandwidth for the emotional part.
Yeah.
And so the technical is a foundation that you have to build to have good systems that allow you to be technically proficient and get all the work done with high levels of excellence. And you have to be able to make people feel like you genuinely care at each point.
Yeah.
He refers to the combination of the two as being a swan, because he would say a swan very elegantly like swims across a pond and makes everyone feel this awe and this peacefulness. And yet underneath the water, it's working like this to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
It's that grace under pressure. Never let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of giving someone a sense of abundance, that you can contain within yourself that stress of knowing how much needs to be done while being present with another person.
Wow.
And one of the things I have seen him do that I think is just fascinating is when I would sit down in his office to have a meeting with him, I'd walk in, he'd be like finishing an email or something. He would sit at his desk and he would go, and he would like blow it out. And then he'd turn back to me and be like, I'm ready. Mm-hmm. And it's that clear, like,
Yep.
Clear the,
Yep.
all the mess out of your brain.
He was refocusing.
A quick meditation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 I love how you describe that. In one sense, there's a sense where you feel like you almost have to be perfect to perform. But no, I don't think that's true. I think you're a person is being authentic, but they're well practiced. Systems are well, flushed out. So,
yes.
So I get that. That makes sense. I think that was a wonderful description.
Thank you.
What's one small cultural shift that one can make an immediate difference in patient loyalty?
In patient loyalty. Okay, so here's the thing about culture and patient experience. You have a brand that you're promising to the outside world, right? And you have a culture that you're living on the inside. If those two things are not the same, you will never get consistency and authenticity in your customer experience. Mm-hmm. So I had a client call me once. It was a grocery store chain, and they had just gone through a big marketing campaign and learned about fonts and colors and taglines and all this stuff that big marketing companies do. And their tagline was, "We're the friendliest grocery store in town." They called me up and they said, "We don't know how to do that. Can you please come and help us?" Their culture did not match that brand. And when I went there and did some secret shopping, they had the grumpiest employees I'd ever met.
Wow.
It was awful. There was no way these people could provide that kind of care. And the reality was they were being treated like they were dispensable. They were being treated like, you don't like stocking shelves? We'll find somebody else to stock shelves.
Yeah.
And so if people don't feel valued and appreciated at work, it will never come across as an authentically caring experience for patients. Well, I'm not going to say never. Some people have that fortitude to be able to say, you can treat me like that, but I'm not treating the patients like that. But it's hard. It's a lot more emotional work to be able to provide that genuine care for someone when on the back end, you're getting a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
So I would say the number one thing to focus on is the behaviors that you have behind the scenes. Are you taking care of each other? Is it one team who understands the shared mission of what we're trying to accomplish and feels that sense of purpose that you mentioned? And they are working together collaboratively to be able to deliver on that. Your norms have to match it, your behaviors have to match it, and there has to be accountability to it for you to be able to really live out that culture in a way that it is reflective of the brand you're trying to create.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. And the question that, sounds off in my head is how much of that is scouting, looking for the right people, finding someone that aligns with your brand. I mean, sometimes, as a CEO, I feel like an NFL GM, and going through the draft, trying to find who fits my team. Trying to find the right person. So how much is that is scouting, or how much is that is, adopted through teaching and methodology, and basically, teaching someone your brand?
So I would say that it's definitely both. And the better you are at scouting, the easier it gets for you. Hire hard, manage easy.
Got it.
Hire
like
easy,
that.
manage hard.
Love
right?
that.
However, I believed when I finished my research at Union Square, I believed that Danny Meyer's number one competitive advantage was his hiring, because he could just sniff out this caring gene in people. Like, it was easy for him.
Yeah.
And so I thought we have to bottle that. And so everyone who was good at hiring in the company, I interviewed them. I created great interview questions and a great plan and strategy for how we're going to do this. And we executed on it. And it was good. It was very good. But I don't think our results really changed in terms of the culture. It was just more of the same. We weren't getting worse. We were not getting better. In 2009, we had a natural experiment occur where we opened 4 concessions at Citi Field, where the Mets play.
Okay.
And we had to use employees from a large food service provider who had the contract for the whole stadium. So we couldn't hire our own employees. We had to use the ones who were assigned to us. And we got them to agree to allow us to pick from that team who would be assigned to us. So we could get those good players on the team. And to allow us to put one of our managers in each of the 4 operations. On opening day, after we'd done all of the scouting and all of the training and taught them our brand, we did all of that stuff. Opening day comes, and the people who were assigned to us we had never seen before, the ones that we had scouted, were spread out all over the stadium.
Wow.
So somebody didn't get the memo.
Wow.
And there was a little bit of panic. But at the end of the day, we found that those employees behaved exactly the same as our employees in every other brand of the restaurants. The key was the 4 managers.
Wow.
And that's what I mean by middle management, the people close to the ground, who are on the ground in the trenches with the team. Those 4 managers created so much enthusiasm and excitement about being part of the brand that they were assigned to. They treated people with respect and made them feel part of something bigger, probably an experience they'd never had in any other concession at the stadium. And those employees behaved exactly the same as our other employees that we had scouted in all of the restaurants. So what it taught us is that leadership really is the key here. And when you focus on building leaders who can create that kind of enthusiasm and at the same time hold people accountable to a standard. You can be the fun boss. Like, I don't know about you, but I remember having a really fun boss when I was younger, and it was fun to go to work, and this guy was really like chummy and cute, but you didn't mess around. You were on time for work, right? You didn't show up late, you didn't screw around on the job. That kind of leader can get the most out of people.
Wow.
And so when you think about the scouting part, I would say always scout, always focus on who you're hiring, and recognize that even the best hires are not going to perform well if you put them into a toxic culture. They will start to wilt, or they will die on the vine, or they will quit you. They're not staying with you, and they're not going to be great employees.
No, that's good. I love that. Well said. Another question that comes to my mind, as physicians, we work with partners beyond our own team, whether it's, a network of specialists we refer to, third-party partners that we work with. My question to you is, how can you maintain consistency in culture when your team may include these ancillary people like specialists, referral partners, independent providers, things like that? How do you still deliver that white glove service to your patients when it seems like some of these other referral partners are out of your control?
Yes, and they are, right? It's very true. This is true in every industry because everyone has partners. Like you even think about, or the hospital probably versus a security company. So you've got someone at your front door from a security company that you don't control because they work for somebody else. And so it's true everywhere. And it always impacts the experience of your patients or your customers. The key here is, again, going to be relationship building and sourcing, like scouting out your partners who are aligned in how they think about the patient experience and the mission that you are on. So finding like-minded people who also want to treat patients that way, even if they're within the insurance world, that they might not get the hour-long time slot, but they're going to get the eye contact and the care and the listening and feel like they are really being heard. I would be looking for partners like that. Also, there are a lot of organizations that I work with build what they call centers of influence, like all of the ancillary people around them who would interface with their same demographic of customer, patient, creating a community where it's almost like that good housekeeping seal of approval, right? Like these are the people that we know share our ethos and want to provide the same level of care. So I think it's really important to scout that out and build those relationships. And I guess the last thing is that I'm thinking in my head but not saying out loud, you have to communicate it. You have to be really clear with the people that you're going to partner with, that you're trying to create a different kind of patient experience, and you'll hope that they'll come along for the ride with you. And so, it might be the personal relationship you build with the physician that really turns the dial on that.
That's good. And, I've sort of asked this, but I want to ask this exact question. What's the best way to onboard new team members so that they embrace culture immediately?
Yeah. Again, hospitality all the way. And this is through the whole hiring process. It's so important to make people feel like you really care about them. Hiring today has gotten so convoluted. People send out 1 million resumes on Indeed. You just with the push of a button, and you don't even have to lick the envelopes anymore, right? Like you just push the button and it goes to 1 million places. So we don't always have sincere applicants. And it's easy then for companies to just say, I'm just going to ignore all of these applications because I have too many, and and a lot of times they end up going with someone who is referred to them. They're not even pulling from the online pool, right? Yeah. And so the hospitality that you show in your process of responding to people, even if it's an automated reply, but it's well crafted and it's thoughtful and thanks them for applying, that will shock applicants today. They just don't get that anymore.
Wow.
When you finally make a hire and you make that a special moment, like you're joining our team, and this is exciting. Making the whole team around them aware of this new person coming, getting ready for their first day like you're throwing a party. Like, their arrival is the arrival of the guest of honor at your table, and having their space ready for them and being ready for them, having a schedule for them for the day. Like you're going to go around and meet with all of the different people today that you'll have contact with so that you get to know them. We have a schedule set up for you. You'll have lunch here, coffee here, and like making them feel like they are joining something so special. I do that for a whole week. Like I have a whole week set up for new people, that they're meeting with various people, but they're also getting training and education on the things that they need to learn. So training is a huge thing also that I shouldn't just dismiss. I can't tell you how many companies I work with that put people in a job and don't provide them with adequate training. They assume that they'll learn from everyone around them. Well, when you learn from everyone around them, you learn the good and the bad. You learn all the right things and all of the bad habits and workarounds that people have created that aren't good habits. And so providing the right training to make sure that they're learning what you want them to learn is, to me, like a no-brainer, but it shouldn't be. It has to have the same level of intention as everything else that I'm talking about here. So I would say key to onboarding is making them feel welcome, being ready for them, providing them with the resources like the contacts and the connections that they need to be successful, and the training that they need to know how to do their job.
Love that. What do you think about the world of concierge medicine and hospitality?
I think it is amazing and a very special thing to be able to participate in. It is the way medicine is supposed to be. And in your practice in particular, home visits, like that's just amazing. And when you think about doctors 100 years ago, home visits were so important because you got to see how people live. And it gives you a lot more data about a person if you understand their life better. And it's something that I often feel about the physicians I see in network is that they don't really understand my life. And so how can they be very good at even diagnosing? I feel like they miss things sometimes. Like, did you hear me say that I travel a lot, right? Like, so the time that you spend gives you the opportunity to learn more about your patients, which will give you the information that you need to make even better informed decisions for them. So I think it's an amazing thing. The hospitality that you provide, I think everyone should be getting that. I don't think you need concierge medicine to be able to provide hospitality. It's a universal principle, and it doesn't take any more time in your day to smile at someone, to make them feel like you really care about them, to ask them genuinely how they are and what they need, and if they have any more questions. Like, people think it takes more time. It really doesn't. And I think patients are so sensitive to how much time they have with a doctor that they're prioritizing their questions in advance, knowing that they're probably not going to get to ask them all. With you, they get to ask them all.
Yeah.
And that's such a gift.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, well said. I love that. Yeah, thank you for that. One of the things when I think about health, I have some universal principles that I share with every patient. My meds protocol: move, eat, drink, sleep. And Every guest that I have on the podcast, I always ask these questions because I like to learn how people who are high functioning, network a lot, run huge organizations, speak, travel like you do, how do they move, eat, drink, sleep? How do they stay healthy? How do they keep going? How do they not burn out? I was hoping, Susan, that you could share with us a little bit about how you move, eat, drink, sleep.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to. I'll do them in order, I guess. Moving, I am recently reattached to Pilates. I haven't done Pilates in 8 years. And the reason I stopped was because, again, it became too fast. Pilates classes were like, switch, 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 switch. And you never focused on form. And I've now found a studio that's all about form, and it's a much more relaxed and intentional environment. So I'm very excited about that. And yoga is very important for me because I sit a lot, I stand a lot. Posture is so important for me to keep myself healthy. And so doing yoga really helps me in strengthening those muscles. So those are my two go-tos. And I love walking, but I don't do it enough, honestly. I got a dog to make me walk, and the dog doesn't even like to walk. So it didn't help me at all. It wasn't the only reason I got the dog. So that's moving for me. Eating is, during the week, my husband and I eat really healthy. We eat a ton of vegetables and usually just chicken, we can't grill in the city, in New York City, but we can cook it in a very healthy way and keep light on the carbs at night. I also enjoy fine food, and I don't deprive myself of that. So I try to keep it balanced between enjoying and being healthy. I do try to go no sugar as much as possible.
That's good.
Because sugar really affects my joints.
Yeah.
And I get very stiff and very uncomfortable. And then for drinking, I'm terrible about drinking water. So I actually poured myself a glass of water for the podcast because I know that you would approve of that.
Leading by example.
Exactly. I love tea, so I'll make myself a pot of tea. And drink tea. It doesn't count, even if it's herbal.
No, I was saying that the water example you just gave, it starts at the top, leading by example.
Okay. Yes, it's true. It's very true. My husband's starting at the top because he's always pushing me. So I'll make a pot of tea and drink it all afternoon. Herbal tea.
Tea counts. I love tea.
Okay. But coffee in the morning, it's my enjoyment. I don't drink it because I have to. I just love my almond milk latte in the morning, and I can't wait for it. So,
that's acceptable.
And if I don't drink it, I don't get a headache. So I know I'm not addicted to it.
It's acceptable. You can drink coffee.
Thank you. Not a lot. And sleeping is a little more tricky for me. I'm a night owl by nature, but as I've gotten older, I realize I need more and more sleep. When I was in my 30s, I was getting no sleep because I had a young child and a busy job, and I was living outside of the city and commuting. And I made a commitment to myself, a New Year's resolution one year, that I was going to get at least 6 hours of sleep a night. 6, because I was getting less than that. And that changed my body. I could no longer go with less than 6 hours of sleep once I started doing that. So I am now a 6 to 8 hour person. But all of this has been a challenge for me because last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was very lucky. It was early and it was small. It was a normal screening. So ladies listening to this and men with women in your lives, mammograms. Like, do not miss your mammogram. I honestly was not that worried about breast cancer because it didn't run in my family, but it did for me. And so after that diagnosis, I had surgery and radiation, and I did really well with it, but hormone therapy has been a nightmare for me. And it affects my sleep, and it affects my ability to move. And that's why I'm newly into Pilates, because I'm finding that it's really helping me a lot. And so I would say to all the women out there who are struggling with menopause or cancer, my go-tos have been yoga and Pilates, and they have meant so much to me. And of course, eating healthy is always going to be important because part of what I suffer with the drugs is joint pain. And keeping those joints going and lubricated, that's a big part of what allows me to keep going. I'm an Energizer bunny. I'm on all the time. I go, 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 go. I have not been able to do that for the last year. I am more limited in my time, that I have good focus and good work. And I have had to learn to prioritize work, to know that I know these 5 hours are going to be really good and the rest of the day I can't count on. So what am I going to do in those 5 hours? So it's changed the way I work, but not necessarily in bad ways, right? Like you get more intentional and you really think about how you're spending your time. You don't mess around. You don't scroll and get caught up in reading multiple news articles in a row.
Right.
You're intentional in what you do with the time that you know is going to be a really productive time.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing is that you're intentional, you're strategic, you're maximizing the time so that you can maximize your energy. You're full of energy. Like you were saying, that you just go. And that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of the things that you said, people can really resonate with. And a lot of the health habits that you do can really help a lot of people. Like the yoga, the Pilates. I loved what you said, about the 6 to 8 hours of sleep. That seems to be your zone where you feel most energized, right? And and I always have felt that people need to know what their number is, For me, I need 8 to 9 hours, then I feel like I'm ready to go. I can go all day. And that makes a huge difference. And I think, just knowing little things like that, enjoying food, like I heard you say that you like to enjoy food, you like to eat out. That's really good. I'm a big believer in that. I don't like it when people get on a diet and then they avoid eating something that they really love to eat. Not that you have to be excessive or anything like that, but eating things in moderation, knowing when are those times that you can go out with friends and enjoy yourself. I think that's important, and that's what I'm hearing. And it sounds like these things keep you from getting burnt out and staying high functioning, right?
A deprivation of food it just never works, right? It's such a bad habit.
Right.
It just makes you want it more, and you try to eat other things to avoid eating the thing that you really want to eat, and you end up spending more calories and maybe even eating ultra processed things to try to get away from the fact that you just want a little bit of chocolate, when a couple of dark chocolate chips are my thing. Like a couple dark chocolate chips and I'm good. That satisfies that craving. So I think knowing little hacks like that you can work with your body, and I'm craving chocolate. Okay, well, I know that a couple dark chocolate chips are not going to tip the scale on me.
Yeah.
So I'm actually a fan of Weight Watchers for that reason. That's the only diet plan that I've ever been successful on, because it allows you to budget. You're like, you have this much that you can eat. How do you want to spend it? And if I know that I'm going out to dinner, I'm going to be smarter in the morning. And so I've always found that to be a helpful program to me. Wow,
this is so insightful, so refreshing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you came on the podcast. This has been amazing. And, you reminded us that culture starts at the top. It's lived out every day in small moments and ultimately shapes the experience of every person that we serve. Our team feeling good and purposeful, that's everything. I know I've learned so much from you today. I know my audience, has learned so much from you today. Again, just thank you for coming on. Where can people find you?
I have a website. It's susansalgado.com. So if you can spell my last name, you got it. And I am...
It's easy to
my
spell.
Phone number's there, my email's there. What's that?
It's easy to spell.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Simple.
It's actually, in Portuguese, it means appetizer.
Okay. Oh, wow. I should have led with that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's my husband's name. It's not mine. Reilly is my name. So it's my name now, and I had no idea what I was signing up for to be an appetizer, but there you go.
Well,
website's the best way to reach me. All my contact info is there.
Awesome. Well, listen, I just want to thank my audience for listening, and I want to just put a reminder out there to make sure that you download this podcast. You're going to want to hear this over and over. Continue to follow us on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Again, thank you for listening. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.